The Houston Rockets are now 14-5. So of course we're going to be talking about that. But we also want to discuss Chris Paul getting dropped by the Clippers, Giannis being available for trade again, and what that means, for the league and for the Rockets potentially, and more. So stay tuned for this episode of the Brad and Will Show. You're gonna like this one.
All right, and welcome back to the episode of the Brad and Will Show. Your heart, Brad, an introduction. We got a couple interesting topics to talk about today. First, starting off with the fact that Sheppard did go back to the bench. So I don't know, Brad, what was your kind of initial reaction to seeing that news?
Yeah, we discussed it. If he was going to be a starter, I was kind of hoping too he would just stay a starter. But Ime did mention it was fluid, and he didn't lie. I swear, he said it was fluid. In the next game after the Rockets lost to the Utah Jazz, Okogie was back in the starting lineup, and Reed was right back off the bench. And if you tune in with us on Rockets Collective, I kind of have the same thoughts as there, but I'll share it again. I just want to Reed, wherever he is, I want him to be the same aggressive Reed Shepherd that we saw in the month of November. He played amazing in November. I don't have the exact numbers put up right now, but if I rattle them off, like they were so impressive. I'll look at them again when Will talks. But yeah, he was facilitating really well, and even in his last game off the bench, he made some really nice passes, really nice skips. I just want to see him facilitating and not just being a catch and shoot player. Still getting to the paint, all those things. He was exciting. He was playing really well, and I just want to see him do that, whether he's starting or off the bench. But I mean, hey, as long as he is producing, that's all I care about. He didn't have the best game against Sacramento. He had 5 points, shot 2 of 7 from the field, had 1 assist. He's plus 23. Or yeah, plus 22. Same thing. Rockets won the game by like 26. But I do want to see him produce and be that guy who was looking like at the time he was producing like he was the third best player on the team. Not saying he is, but that's how he was producing. So I just want to see him maximize. I know he's still young. The consistency will come. Um, but wherever he is, I just want him to be in a good spot. But what were your thoughts? I know you didn't want to see him moving back and forth.
That's why I didn't want him to start because I didn't think he would ever like permanently be the starter this season. And I don't want him having an unstable role. I don't want him having to move back and forth between starting and coming off the bench and this, that, and the third. I want him to be able to say, going into every game, he knows what his role is going to be. He knows what's expected of him. He knows what he's going to do, and just work it being the best version of that. And then once he gets the hang of that, then we can start talking about, okay, now you can start. Now you can start being, lead ball handler, all this other stuff like that. I didn't want him having to, be insecure. And what I definitely did not want to have happen is I didn't want the Rockets to jump the gun, start him, and then when he struggles, because I mean, let's be real, he hasn't played, I guess, necessarily as good as he did. That like what was a week ago when he was like on that 2 week stretch where he was just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't played that well, and what I didn't want to have happen was I didn't want him to get promoted to starting lineup based upon that 2 week sample size or 3 week sample size, however long it was, and we promote him off that. And then he kind of comes to earth a little bit. It's like, all right, well, now we don't want this guy starting anymore. And now you kind of have to demote him. And I'm not necessarily saying that's what the Rockets did. They didn't necessarily demote him, but it is one of those things where like he was starting, now he's not. And I'm gonna be real, I think when we play again tomorrow, I don't think he's gonna start that game. I think he's coming off the bench again. So it's one of those things where it's just like I think that just leave him there, right? Just let him thrive off the bench. I think we see a lot more of an aggressive version of Reed Sheppard when he's off the bench because he doesn't have to defer to Alperen Sengun, Kevin Durant, and Ben Thompson, right? Those bench units are usually like him and KD. We see that's kind of what the Rockets, they'll usually do like a and Sengun staggered and then like KD and Reed staggered. And so it's a bit easier to be a bit more involved offensively with the ball in your hands, be a bit more aggressive when the only guy you have to defer to is just Kevin Durant, and then you're the next guy up in the pecking order. And so yeah, like I think it's just in terms of getting the best version of Reed, in terms of his basketball play, and also in terms of, like I said, just building his confidence and getting him to that level of a player that we do hope one day will be like the starting point guard, or him and the men probably will take turns leading the offense. But like you would want that to be your starting backcourt if nothing else. And I think, just giving him these reps now to kind of build that confidence, I think it's easy to build that confidence when he has a defined role. He knows what he's doing, when he knows what's expected from him, as opposed to, all right, today you're going to start. Today you come off the bench. All right, you played well last game. I didn't play so well this game. Come to the bench, right? I think that if if you feel like Reed Sheppard is playing so well that you got to start him, I'd say just give him the most minutes off the bench and let him close games. But I don't think he should have the role of a starter until you are 100% certain he's never going to the bench. And I don't think that's going to happen this season. So I don't think he should start this season.
Yeah, I'll also say this really quickly on Reed Sheppard. With him and Amin Thompson, he's been on ball a lot more. Or maybe it's been the same. I don't know, but he's been a more aggressive on ball, getting to the cup. I'd like to see Amin Thompson play more off of Reed. I really do think Reed's a spectacular facilitator. I mean, he'll get there. I'm just looking at the reads, and he's going to be getting to the point where he's going to be getting 5+ assists a night. But right now, of course, I mean, only 3 assists total in the last 2 games combined. So again, that's just he's kind of just running off screens and he's not really getting the uses that I think he should be getting. But yeah, I do want to see Amin and Reed work more off each other. I think they complement each other, their skill sets for sure. And I think they could have some magic there. So that's something I want to look forward to going forward. They play the Suns coming up, and they don't have Dylan. No, not Dylan. They don't have Dylan. Not I said Dylan twice. They don't have Devin Booker and of course Jalen Green. So it should be should be a win. We'll see how they do, but I'm looking forward to see how Reed looks. But that's what I wanted to say on his front.
Go to the next thing.
Yeah, outside of that, not even Rockets news, but Chris Paul, yeah, you can call it Rockets news. That's a Rockets guy. He gave me and Will our best Rockets years of our life. Of course, we weren't there for Akeem Olajuwon. I came in like with Tracy and Yao, but yeah, Chris Paul, Harden, like those were my guys. So the news when Chris Paul, just got released from the team or like sent home, I guess per se, it did not sit right with me. I've been seeing, the guys, the Clippers, like the front office players, some of them were frustrated with him being too direct and I guess bossy or just, I guess, nagging, you could say. But I don't think that's any way to treat a legend. So yeah, I think that was crazy. What would you say, Will?
I think it was insanely disrespectful. What the Clippers did. I think that when you have an all-time great like Chris Paul, especially for your franchise, you're not supposed to just deprive him of his farewell tour, especially considering, like I said, it was a farewell tour with the team that people are going to most associate with Chris Paul and nothing else. Like the Clippers, they waived him. That's their franchise goal. Or it's probably him. They don't have the best history in the world right now. It's not like the Lakers where they have a million jerseys retired. It's not the Celtics or like the Warriors or the Spurs. This is a franchise that has never been to the NBA Finals. Doesn't have a ring. I think they might have. I'm not sure they have any jerseys retired in the Raptors right now. And if they do, I bet you all of them are like the Buffalo days. I'm not sure there's any like Clippers jerseys in the Raptors right now. And I mean, assuming that he still would want it, I'm assuming Chris Paul will be one of the first. Him and Blake Griffin will be one of the first names to go up in those Raptors for retired jerseys. And I mean, neither of them are probably on good terms with the Clippers right now. So like that's just not the way that it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to let your franchise go out that way. Um, and then especially considering it wasn't because he was it'd be one thing if he was just out there wilding, but they said it's because they didn't like the Clippers organization, ownership, and coaching didn't like Chris's locker room presence, which is just ridiculous to me because it's like that's who he is, right? Like Chris Paul is a guy who goes to every team that he goes to and makes a difference, right? I tweeted today, man, he brought the Hornets to their most wins in franchise history at the time. I don't know if that record still stands, but it was for sure at the time. It was 57 wins.
We're talking about the Hornets, so yeah, that
Yeah,
record
so they
probably stands.
probably haven't beat 57 wins, but yeah, he was there for that. He made the Clippers like went from irrelevant to the only history the Clippers have, honestly, is with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. So like, he led them there, came to Houston, took us from the second round, exit to the best seed in the West, went to conference finals, went to OKC. They were supposed to not even make the playoffs, and then they did, and they exceeded every expectation. Phoenix was missing the playoffs entirely to go into the NBA finals, and then yeah, that was really, I mean, his career was kind of wrapped up at that point in time. But this guy's a winner, right? And so if he's telling you something's wrong in your locker room, it's probably because there's something wrong with the locker room. And I mean, if nothing else, the results have spoke for themselves. The Clippers are, I think, the 14th seed at the time of this recording in the Western Conference, which is awful for a team that has that high of a payroll, that has that much top end talent, that had that many expectations this offseason, for them to be that far from expectations. I mean, Chris Paul obviously is pretty correct. Something is wrong, and instead of addressing it, they decide to scapegoat him. So I don't know. I'll just land my plane by saying, if I mean I know Russ talks about, can he come to the Rockets? He can't. I'm gonna keep it a being with you, man. And we're gonna talk about that in a second with the trades. Like with the way everything is working right now, The Rockets couldn't today. If we even we wanted to, we couldn't offer him a roster spot. We don't have any money left over to give him. It will require us to trade away like Aaron Holiday or maybe Jeff Green. I mean, Jeff Green's not playing, so maybe you could argue that, but you have to trade away one of those guys to a team that has a roster spot for nothing in return. And I mean, I'd assume they're probably not going to trade Jeff because he's been like Udonis has him. He's the idea of what Chris Paul's supposed to be. So
Yep.
I kind of imagine they're probably not going to trade him. And then Aaron Holiday, no disrespect, is just better at basketball right now than Chris Paul. So I'm not trading Aaron Holiday to get Chris Paul in the locker room. I'm going to keep the depth piece. So I don't think like it's not going to happen. Let's put it like that. He's not coming back to Houston. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, the Clippers are 13th in the conference with 6-16. So yeah, I didn't like how they treated him. I don't know if you saw the report. That they said most of the Clippers players were on board, but James Harden said he was, he's just as confused as everybody.
I think he's
Um,
lying. I think
yeah,
he knows.
he could be. He could, yeah, we'll see, but it'll probably come out eventually. But yeah, if it is true, James is definitely a real one for that. But yeah, it had me reminiscing about those Harden Paul days with the Rockets. Obviously, great times. So yeah, that's it on that front. I will say the Clippers, who they did blow out the Hawks in their first game without Chris.
It was without Jalen Johnson, no Trey Young. It was
Exactly.
a injury. I think Porzingis didn't play. Like it wasn't
Yeah, I
nothing.
mean it's one game.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we'll see how they do. We do need to be Clippers fans though, sadly, because OKC has their pick, so I need them to actually pick it up. So whatever they do, just win. Um, but yeah, on to the next topic. Of course, Giannis. The Bucks have been struggling. He came back from injury, and they were just losing a ton of games. Um, I see head popping through. Hello, what's going on? I'm on pod. But yeah, so Giannis has been struggling. Giannis has been struggling with the Bucks being as bad as they are. He's still at an elite level, having like a top 20 season of all time. He wants out. He wants out. And me, in my opinion, I think it's going to be the Knicks. He gets to handpick where he goes. He's the franchise legend over there. He won a championship for him. They should be able to cater to whatever he wants to do. But yeah, I know people are going to be talking about the Rockets, being in the mix for this. And I just don't think it's realistic at all, especially this season. Uh, we'll dive into that too. But Fred VanVleet has a no trade clause. You'd have to include his salary in any trade, and they're not going to move Fred. ESPN just threw it out there. They proposed Giannis and his brother for Şengün, the 2027 Suns pick, along with Fred VanVleet. Again, it's just not realistic. It's just a bunch of fantasy talk. In my personal opinion, I believe if he's going anywhere, it's going to be to the Spurs or to the Knicks. But it is big news for sure. It's been lingering since the summer. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, we can just tackle it right now. It's not gonna happen, right? Giannis to the Rockets is about as close to impossible as it is like during the season that I'm talking about now. If Giannis somehow withholds and gets traded in the offseason, I mean we can then talk about it then. But in terms of like a trade deadline midseason acquisition, it's not possible. As Brad touched on, Fred VanVleet has an implied no trade clause. I think people talking about why did Stone give him a no trade clause? Stone didn't give him a no trade clause. The is it the CBA? I don't know whoever comes up with contract structures. That's how he got it. When you get a 1+1, you get an implied NTC. So no, he's and like I don't know if y'all been keeping up with Fred or talking to Fred or anything like that. He's not going nowhere, right? He's not waiving that no trade clause. He's not leaving the city. So I think he wants to really compete for a championship with this city. And I said I think when he does retire, I think he joined the coaching staff. I don't think he going nowhere. So yeah, that's not like don't go ahead and abandon all hypotheticals of Fred being traded for Giannis. That's not happening. And then like obviously the Rockets are not trading Alperen Sengun for Giannis either, which would have been a hot take a couple of months ago, but I don't think that it should be a hot take anymore. I think if you're watching the way Sengun has played this season, you'll know that like, nah, man, you don't trade. Is he what 23 years old right now, Brad?
Yeah. Alfred is 23
Sengun's
years old
23.
playing at
Yeah,
all NBA level player
he's
right
gonna
now.
make an All NBA team this year. If he's
Is
knock on wood stays healthy enough to make All NBA, he's gonna be on an All NBA team this year. He's for sure an All Star. You don't trade a 23-year-old who is on pace and to do the things he's doing and is playing at such a high level, right? I mean, it's not hot take. He's outplaying Kevin Durant right now. So like, yeah, you're not trading that guy before he even touches his prime for a guy who, for as good as Giannis is, he's an all-time great top three player in the league. He has less years ahead of him than he does behind him. Whereas Shingun, we can conceivably have this guy for another decade plus or something. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you're not trading Shingun for Giannis, and you're not trading KD, right? If you're the Bucks, I don't know why you'd want KD in a Giannis trade. And even then, I mean, I don't think guys it's even extent. I think because of extension, I don't think KD can even be traded right now. I think he's ineligible to be traded anyway. So, like,
That's just an awful move because
basically,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
not
mean,
gonna work.
you'd be sliming KD out too. That's the thing, and yeah, he took a discount for you. You're not sliming KD out, so you're not pulling the Clippers. So, yeah, bottom line is the Giannis to Houston stuff. Don't even get your hopes up. It's not happening. The only way it'll conceivably happen, like I said, is if Giannis withholds until the offseason when we do have a bit more tradable money. And then it's like, okay, you can start kind of seeing some moving pieces work there. But it sounds like a decision is going to happen in the coming weeks. So if he gets moved at the deadline, like, or, if Shams comes out and says Giannis has requested a trade and he's not playing for the Bucks no more, it's not going to be the Houston, unfortunately. It's like Brad said, it's probably going to be the Knicks, Spurs, OKC probably in the mix. I think Miami might be in the mix. Like it's a couple of teams out there that'll probably take a stab at it, but it won't be Houston. So
Last thing I'll say on the Giannis front, Will, I have a question for you. What do you think about the calf strain that Giannis had in that last game?
do I think he's faking it?
What do you think about it?
No, it looked real.
It looked real. Okay, okay.
Honestly, I thought it was worse when I saw it in real time.
It looked bad.
I,
Yeah.
I thought it was the Achilles. I'm not gonna lie to you because
Mhm.
he looks back, and that's usually what it is. And then when they said it was a calf strain, I mean, that's usually the precursor to the Achilles. So I'm kind of glad that it's a calf strain and not an Achilles injury because I thought it
Yeah.
was. It looked like he was gonna be done. So no, I don't think
Been a
he's
lot of
faking it.
those in the NBA recently. Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
agree with you. I don't think he was faking it. I know a lot of people think that. Obviously, with the timing, I don't think Giannis is that kind of player to fake an injury like
No.
that. So hopefully he does have
I mean, I ain't
a
gonna
good.
lie. If I'm trying to get traded, I'm just gonna not play. I'll just pull an Anthony Davis. I wouldn't. I feel like getting hurt hurts the ability to move you because now a team
Yeah,
may not give up as much as they would normally do. I mean, unless you try to play like 40 chess and say, "Hey, I'm hurt, so don't trade much for me." I don't know, but
that'd actually be better for him.
yeah, I don't know,
But
but
yeah, yeah, I think he's fine. But
I think he's good
yeah,
too.
outside of that, I think we were potentially thinking about talking about James Harden, but that again, that trade's not happening, as we
I
mentioned.
mean, it's the same thing with Giannis. Like
The
that's
same
the
thing. Yeah,
it has been the conundrum I've been trying to get people to understand since the season started. There is no move coming. This is
none.
it.
Hmm.
This is it, bro. Like the only thing you can conceivably expect to happen is a Capella trade.
Hmm.
That is really it. And go look at how much money Capella's making, and then look at guys who are making that much money. That's the ballpark. There's no Harden trade. There's no Giannis trade. There's no I don't know, whatever player it is you think it's not happening. The Rockets are hard capped where they are at. They don't have tradable salary. You don't want to overpay, for any of these guys anyways. Like I'm gonna be real. Like I said, I think the most lucky scenario here is that they move Capella for like a end of the bench rotation piece come playoff time, which would be a great trade, obviously. But like everybody wants the Harden, everybody wants the Giannis, everybody wants the massive trade. It's not happening, bro. It's just not possible. So you know what I'm saying? Don't get your hopes up.
And I'll say this: This is a Rockets team that again, it's 14-5. On Pivot Fade, they have the second best net rating in the NBA. Probably on NBA.com too, they have the second best. But yeah, second in literally offense, defense, and in general net rating. 11.6 point differential per 100 possessions is really good. It's a good team. They lead the league right now in 20-point wins. OKC, of course, they see a lot of fourth quarters, but just to show the Rockets have been taking care of business. Outside of that last Utah game, they slipped up, but it's a good team. They don't need to make any trades in the first place, so it is like this. The trade talk is it's not necessary. This Rockets team is probably going to chill, to be honest. So we'll see what they do. Again, they have two games coming up, another back to back. Hopefully, they don't look like they did on the last back to back. So again, they play Phoenix and then Dallas. In my opinion, I'll say this before we get off. I don't think they should play Steven Adams in the first game. I'd wait for Dallas. Anthony Davis is healthy, I believe, so he's playing. So I wouldn't play Steve-O in that first half. But that's just me. Go win the second game. That's probably a tougher game, of course. Second game back to back. That's what I would
I agree. I agree 100%.
do. So,
Anything?
yeah.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No. And then I think you said everything that needs to be said about that.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's the last thing I had to say on this podcast, though. Like Rockets, again, take care of business in the back to back. You have like a 5-day break, So of course, Will and I will probably come together and record during that break. So stay tuned for that. If you're still with us, 20 minutes in, again, like, sub, try and get to 5K this year. We appreciate it. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the Chris Paul situation, the Giannis trade, Reed Sheppard, coming on and off the bench. Where do y'all want to see him? I'd love to hear what y'all say. I'll interact with you guys. So thanks for listening. Of course, that was an episode of the Brad and Will Show, and we'll be back soon.